Maggie's hands froze on the hammer. The baby's scream cut through the Saturday market like a knife through her chest. She knew that sound. The sound of dying. The sound her own daughter never got to make. Across the square, a man stumbled, broad-shouldered and desperate, holding a bundle, too still, too gray. "Please," he begged the crowd. "3 days. She won't eat." Women stepped back. Men looked away. The baby's cry faded to a whisper, and Maggie remembered holding her own silent child gone before she ever breathed. Before we continue, please subscribe to our channel and follow this story to the very end. Comment below what city you're watching from so I can see how far this story has traveled. Now let's begin. The hammer struck iron. Again. 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 Maggie Sullivan didn't look up when the men passed, didn't flinch when they laughed. Her hands moved like they'd been born holding steel. Heat from the forge made her face slick with sweat, but she didn't wipe it away. Couldn't show weakness, not here, not in front of them. Look at that, a woman pretending to be a blacksmith. What's next horse's gonna fly? She'd heard it all before, every morning for 6 months since her husband died. Since she'd taken over the forge he'd forbidden her to touch. Since the town decided a woman with a hammer was somehow more offensive than a woman starving. The iron glowed red. She shaped it, bent it, made it obey. Her daddy taught her that. Someone muttered. Should have taught her to be a proper wife instead. Maggie's jaw tightened. Her father had taught her plenty. Taught her iron bends before it breaks. Taught her heat and pressure make things stronger. He just hadn't taught her how to live in a world that hated women who refused to break. She dunked the horseshoe in water. Steam hissed. The metal screamed. Behind her footsteps approached. Heavy boots. Male. She didn't turn around. "Need this done by tomorrow," a rough voice said. "Can you manage?" She straightened. Looked at the man. Mid-40s. Ranch hand by the look of his worn clothes. His eyes traveled down her body, not with desire, with disgust. 20 cents, she said flatly. "Your husband used to charge 15. My husband's dead, I'm not." The man's lip curled. He dropped the broken bridle on her workbench. "Fine. But if it's not right, I'm not paying." He left. Maggie picked up the bridle. Split leather. Shoddy metalwork. She could fix it in her sleep. The market stretched out beyond her open forge. Saturday. The only day everyone came to town. The day she made enough money to eat for the week. The day she endured the most stares, the most whispers, the most shame. A woman called out prices on vegetables. Another sold bread. Normal women. Proper women. They didn't look at Maggie, hadn't since her baby died. 7 months ago, a girl, born too early, lived 2 hours. Maggie hadn't named her. What was the point? You don't name something that's already gone. The midwife had clucked her tongue. Your hips are too narrow. Your body's not built right for babies. But Maggie's body was built for plenty of other things. For swinging hammers. For hauling iron. For surviving. She went back to work. Let the hammer fall. Let the rhythm drown out the memories. That's when the screaming started. Not human screaming. Worse. A baby. High and thin and desperate. The sound of something dying. The market went quiet. Every head turned. A horse thundered into the square. The rider barely held on. Broad shoulders. Unshaven. Shirt stained dark with something. His arms clutched a bundle wrapped in dirty cloth. The horse stopped. Reared. The man slid off, nearly fell, caught himself. "Doctor." His voice cracked. Raw. "I need the doctor." No one moved. The bundle in his arms writhed weakly. A tiny hand emerged. Gray fingers. Too gray. "Please." The man stumbled forward. The crowd parted like water around stone. "Please, someone. She's dying. 3 days now. Won't eat. Won't drink." Maggie's hands went still on the forge handle. "Where's her mother?" someone finally asked. The man's face twisted. "Dead. Childbirth. 3 weeks ago. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Whispers exploded. That's William Thornton, the one who punched Reverend Porter. Got into a fight at Mitchell's saloon last month. Near killed a man. His wife died because nobody would help deliver the baby. Town decided he wasn't worth the trouble after what he did. William heard every word. Maggie watched his fists clench, watched rage flash across his face. But then he looked down at his daughter, at her gray skin, at her shallow breathing, and the rage collapsed into something worse. Grief. Please, he whispered. I don't know what else to do. I've been to every wet nurse in 3 counties. Every single one said no. Silence. Why should we help you? It was Mrs. Porter, the Reverend's wife, standing near the vegetable stand with her arms crossed. After what you did to my husband, William's jaw worked. He called my wife he called her what she deserved to be called, and you assaulted a man of God. He said she was cursed, said our baby would be born dead because we weren't righteous enough. And was he wrong? Mrs. Porter's voice carried across the square. Your wife died. Your baby's dying. Maybe God's trying to tell you something. The baby made a sound, barely a whimper, fading. William's knees buckled. He went down in the dirt, right there in front of everyone, still holding his daughter. Please, he said to the ground, to God, to anyone. Please, she's all I have left. No one stepped forward. Maggie's hands shook. She stared at the baby, at the gray skin, at the way William held her like she was already slipping away. She remembered holding her own daughter, how light she'd been, how quiet. That one might help. Old Martha, the herb seller, pointed directly at Maggie. The widow, lost her baby 7 months back, might still have milk. Every eye turned. Maggie felt it like physical weight. The stares, the judgment, the disgust. One of the market women laughed. The blacksmith. She couldn't even keep her own baby alive. Built like that, and still lost a child, probably smothered it. She's cursed, everyone knows it. More laughter, cruel, sharp. William lifted his head, looked across the square at Maggie. Their eyes met. She saw everything in that moment. His desperation, his shame, his dying child. He stood slowly, walked toward her. Each step heavy, each step watched. He stopped in front of her forge. Up close, she could see the exhaustion carved into his face, the stubble, the red eyes, the way his hands trembled as he held his daughter. Can you nurse her? His voice was barely above a whisper. Just once. Please. I'll pay anything. Maggie looked at the baby, saw the shallow breathing, the gray skin, the small fingers curled tight like she was fighting to hold on. Behind her she heard it. The women from her boarding house, the ones who'd taken her in after her husband died, who called it charity, who made sure she knew she owed them. The fat widow, you're asking her. She couldn't keep her own baby alive. Maybe she smothered it with all that weight. The market erupted in laughter. William spun toward them. His fist rose. Maggie grabbed his arm. Don't. He froze. Looked down at her. His arm trembled beneath her hand. She felt the violence coiled inside him, ready to explode. They're not worth it, she said quietly. They never are. Slowly his fist unclenched. He turned back to her. Will you help? Maggie looked at the baby, at William, at the crowd waiting to see her fail. I live at the boarding house, 2 streets over. Bring her there. Relief crashed across William's face like a wave. You'll try? I'll try. Thank you. His voice broke. Thank you. Behind them, the whispers exploded. She's taking him to her room. Unmarried, shameless. Desperate fat widow throwing herself at the first man who'll look at her. Maggie didn't look back. She untied her leather apron, set down her hammer, started walking. William followed close behind. The baby made another weak sound. They walked through the market. Past the stairs, past the whispers, past Mrs. Porter's satisfied smirk. At the edge of the square, Maggie stopped, looked back once, saw her forge, the fire still burning, the work unfinished, everything she'd built. Then she looked at the baby and kept walking. The boarding house rose 3 stories, narrow, dark. The woman who ran it. Mrs. Blackwood stood on the porch, arms crossed, face like stone. Maggie Sullivan, what is this? He needs help. Not under my roof. Then I'll pay extra. There isn't enough money in the world to make this proper. William stepped forward. How much? Mrs. Blackwood's eyes gleamed. $5 for the impropriety. Maggie's stomach dropped. $5 was half a month's earnings. William pulled out a worn leather wallet, counted bills with shaking hands. Here, 10. That cover it. Mrs. Blackwood snatched the money. 1 hour, not a minute more. They went inside. The boarding house girls lined the hallway. Young women, pretty women, the kind men actually wanted. They stared as Maggie led William upstairs. Give it an hour, one whispered. He'll come back down alone. The baby will probably die anyway. At least then he'll know not to trust a woman like her. Maggie's room was at the top, smallest in the house, slanted ceiling, single window, a bed barely big enough for one, a chair with a broken leg she'd meant to fix, a cracked mirror that showed her exactly what she was, too big, too hard, too wrong. William stood in the doorway, looking lost, like he'd forgotten how to exist in normal spaces. Sit, Maggie said. She took the chair. He hesitated, then knelt beside her on the floor. She reached for the baby. William handed her over so carefully, like she was made of glass. The baby weighed nothing, less than nothing. Maggie's arms remembered this weight, remembered holding her daughter, how she'd gotten colder with each passing minute. What's her name? Maggie asked. Emma. Emma. Maggie looked down at the tiny face, gray lips, eyes closed. Hello, Emma. I'm Maggie. The baby didn't respond, barely breathed. Maggie unbuttoned her dress. Her fingers shook. She hadn't done this since her daughter died, since her milk came in with no baby to drink it, since she'd wrapped her breasts tight to make the milk stop, to make her body forget what it had been trying to do. She brought Emma to her breast. Nothing happened. The baby's mouth moved weakly, searching, but she didn't latch, didn't have the strength. Come on, Maggie whispered. Please try. William made a sound, half sob, half prayer. Maggie adjusted Emma, tried again, coaxed her. Please, baby, please. Emma's mouth brushed her nipple, opened, closed. Then, she latched. Weak at first, barely anything, but then stronger. She drank. William's shoulders shook. Tears streamed down his face. He didn't wipe them away, didn't try to hide them. She's drinking, he whispered. Oh God, she's drinking. Maggie felt it too, the pull, the release. Her body responding to this baby's need. Milk that had almost dried up flowing again. Feeding this tiny life. Her own tears fell, silent, hot. She'd made milk for a baby who never drank, and now a baby lived because of her. William sank forward, put his forehead on the floor beside her chair. His whole body trembled. I thought I'd lost her, he said into the wood. Like I lost Sarah. I thought God was taking everything. I thought... Don't. Maggie's voice was rough. Don't think. Just be here. They stayed like that, in her tiny room, in the dying afternoon light. 3 broken people finding one moment of peace. Emma drank, and drank, and drank. Her color changed, gray to pink. Her breathing deepened, strengthened. When she finally stopped, her eyes fluttered open, blue, clear, alive. William looked up, saw his daughter's face, made a sound that might have been a laugh or might have been another sob. "You saved her life," he said to Maggie. Maggie handed Emma back carefully. "She'll need to eat again, in a few hours." "Can I bring her back?" Maggie thought about Mrs. Blackwood's face. The other girl's laughter. How much worse it would get. But Emma was alive. "Yes." William stood. Cradled Emma against his chest. The baby made a small sound, content, sleepy. He paused at the door. "They were wrong about you." "What?" "The women at the market. You're not cursed." He looked at her. Really looked. "You're a miracle." He left. Maggie sat alone in her room. Outside, she could hear the boarding house girls laughing, gossiping, waiting for her to fail. But Emma was alive, and William would come back. Not because he had to, because he needed her. She stood, went to the cracked mirror, looked at herself. Same face, same body, same everything. But something had changed. Something she couldn't name. For the first time in 7 months, she didn't feel like a curse. She felt necessary. Downstairs, a door slammed. Footsteps on stairs. Voices rising. Did you see his face? He actually paid her. $10. For 1 hour. What did they do up there? What do you think? Maggie buttoned her dress, smoothed her hair. Let them talk. Let them think whatever they wanted. She'd saved a life today. That was worth every whisper, every laugh, every cruel word. She sat on her bed, looked at her hands. These hands that shaped iron, that bent metal, that built things. These same hands had just saved Emma. Outside, the sun began to set. The boarding house settled into evening routine. Dinner smells drifted up. Someone played piano downstairs. Badly. Maggie didn't go down, didn't eat, just sat, and waited for William to come back. Because he would. She knew he would. And this time she'd be ready. The mirror caught her reflection again. She looked at herself. Really looked. "Maybe," she whispered to that woman in the glass. "Maybe you're not so wrong after all." The woman didn't answer. Just stared back. Same as always. But Maggie could have sworn she looked different. Stronger, maybe. Or just less alone. William came back at sunset. Maggie heard his boots on the stairs before Mrs. Blackwood could stop him. Heavy footsteps taking 2 steps at a time. Urgent. Desperate again. She opened her door before he could knock. He stood there breathing hard. Emma in his arms. The baby's face was pink now, but her cry was strong. Hungry. "She needs you," William said. The boarding house girls appeared in doorways below, watching, whispering. Mrs. Blackwood stood at the bottom of the stairs with her arms crossed. "Second time today, Mr. Thornton," she called up. "This is highly improper. I'll pay. It's not about money, it's about decency." William's jaw clenched. Maggie saw the anger flash across his face, saw his free hand curl into a fist. "Let him up," Maggie said quietly. "Please." Mrs. Blackwood's eyes narrowed. "You're making your own bed here, girl. Don't expect sympathy when you have to lie in it." She turned and left. The girls scattered like rats, but Maggie heard them gathering in the kitchen below, heard their excited whispers. William stepped inside. Maggie closed the door. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to cause trouble." "You didn't. I did. The moment I said yes to helping you." She took Emma. The baby rooted immediately. Latched strong this time. Drank like she'd been waiting. William sank onto the floor again. Back against the wall. He looked exhausted. Worse than exhausted. Hollowed out. "When did you last sleep?" Maggie asked. "I don't remember." Eat yesterday. Maybe. You're going to die before your daughter does if you keep this up. He laughed, sharp, bitter. Maybe that would be easier. Don't say that. Why not? It's true. Every morning I wake up and wonder why I'm still here. Why God took Sarah and left me. I can't cook, can't clean, can barely keep myself alive, let alone a baby. Emma made a small sound, contented. William watched her. Then I look at her, he said softer, and I know I have to try, even if I'm failing, even if she'd be better off with someone else. She wouldn't be. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Because you rode 3 counties looking for help. Because you're here now. Because you haven't given up. William rubbed his face. His hands shook. I punched a reverend. Did you know that? I heard. He came to our house 2 days before Sarah went into labor. Told her she was carrying the devil's child. Said we hadn't been righteous enough. That our baby would be cursed. William's voice went flat. Dead. Sarah was terrified. She cried for hours. When labor started, she kept saying the baby was cursed, kept apologizing to God. And I couldn't make it stop. Couldn't make her stop believing him. What did you do? I went to his house, the next day, after Sarah died, after Emma was born and Sarah was gone. I walked right up to him and I hit him, broke his nose. Would have done worse if his wife hadn't screamed. He looked at Maggie. That's who I am. That's why no one will help. Because I'm a violent man who can't control his temper. Maggie shifted Emma to her other breast. He called your wife's baby cursed while she was pregnant. What did he expect you to do? Turn the other cheek. Forgive. Be Christian about it. That's not being Christian. That's being a coward. William stared at her. You don't think I was wrong. I think you were hurt. I think you were angry. I think you were human. She looked down at Emma. And I think the people in this town prefer monsters they can control to humans they can't predict. Silence fell. Emma finished nursing. Maggie held her upright, patted her back gently until she burped. You're good at that, William said. I had practice for 2 hours. Your baby. Yes. What happened? Maggie looked at the wall, at the cracked plaster, at the water stain shaped like a hand. She was born too early, month and a half. The cord was wrapped around her neck. She came out blue, never cried, never breathed. Just wasn't. Her voice stayed steady. She'd told this story enough times that the words came automatic now, like reciting something memorized. The midwife said it happens sometimes. Said my body wasn't built right. Said maybe it was God's plan. That's cruel. That's what everyone says when they don't know what else to say. William stood slowly, came closer, knelt beside her chair. I'm sorry you had to go through that alone. I wasn't alone. My husband was there. Was he kind? The question hung in the air. Maggie felt it pressing against her chest. She'd never said it out loud, never admitted it. No, she whispered. He wasn't. William reached out, put his hand over hers, just rested it there, warm, solid, real. I need to ask you something, he said. What? Come work for me, at my ranch. Maggie's head jerked up. What? Just for a few weeks, until Emma's stronger. I'll pay you proper wages, give you your own room, feed you, whatever you need. William, I can't do this alone anymore. Riding here twice a day, the ranch is falling apart. I haven't slept more than an hour at a time since Sarah died. The animals are suffering. The house is a disaster. I need help. The town will destroy your reputation. I don't have a reputation left to destroy. They'll say I'm your mistress. Let them say it. I don't care what they think anymore. Emma stirred in Maggie's arms, made a small sound, settled. I can't just leave, Maggie said. I have the forge. I have... Do you? Or do you have a room in a boarding house where everyone hates you, and a forge where people mock you while you work." The words stung because they were true. "What about your wife?" Maggie asked. "What would she think?" William's face softened. "Sarah would think Emma needs to live. Whatever it takes. She'd forgive me anything if it meant Emma survived." He squeezed Maggie's hand. "Please, I'm begging you. Will you come?" Maggie looked around her tiny room, at the cracked mirror, the broken chair, the window that faced the alley where rats fought over garbage every night. She thought about the forge, about the men who paid her less and expected more, about the women who whispered behind their hands, about coming home every night to this empty room where she had nothing and no one. Then she looked at Emma, at this baby who lived because Maggie existed. "I'll come," she said. William's shoulders sagged with relief. "Thank you. God, thank you. But not as charity. I work for what I earn. I wouldn't have it any other way." They sat in silence for a moment, Emma asleep between them. Outside the boarding house settled into night. Piano music drifted up from below. Someone sang off key. "I should go," William said. "Let you rest." "When do you want me?" "Tomorrow, first light. I'll come with the wagon." He stood, took Emma carefully. The baby barely stirred. At the door he paused. "I don't know why you said yes, but I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you don't regret it." He left. Maggie sat alone. Her breasts ached. Her arms felt empty without Emma's weight. Below she heard the girls erupting. 2 times in one day. She's going to his ranch. Unmarried woman and a widower. How shameless. Mrs. Blackwood should throw her out. Footsteps on the stairs. Heavy. Angry. Mrs. Blackwood burst through the door without knocking. "Pack your things." "What?" "You heard me. I want you out. Tonight." "You can't." "I can and I will. I won't have a woman of loose morals under my roof. You're corrupting the other girls." Maggie stood. "I've done nothing wrong. You've entertained a man in your room. Twice. Let him touch you. Fed his baby like you're his wife when you're not. I saved a child's life. You saved your own reputation for 5 minutes by pretending to be useful. But everyone knows what you really are. A desperate woman throwing herself at the first man who'd look at her." The words hit like fists. Maggie felt each one land. "I need until morning," she said quietly. "You have 1 hour. Then I'm throwing your things in the street." Mrs. Blackwood left, slammed the door so hard the cracked mirror fell off the wall and shattered. Maggie looked at the pieces scattered across the floor. 7 years bad luck, like she didn't have enough already. She had 1 bag, 1 dress besides the one she wore, her father's old leather apron, a Bible her mother had given her, a brush with half the bristles missing. It took 15 minutes to pack everything she owned. She sat on the bed, looked at her empty room. This place had never been home, just somewhere to sleep between beatings from the world. But leaving felt like admitting defeat, like running away. Footsteps on the stairs again. Lighter this time. A knock. Soft. "Come in." One of the boarding house girls opened the door. Young, pretty, the kind of girl men wrote poetry about. Her name was Anne or Anna. Maggie couldn't remember. "I'm sorry about Mrs. Blackwood," the girl said. "Don't be. I knew what I was risking. Still, it's not fair." "Fair died when I was born wrong." The girl flinched. "You're not wrong. Tell that to everyone else." The girl stepped inside, closed the door. "Can I tell you something?" "What?" "Last year I got pregnant. Before I came here. The father was married. Told me to get rid of it. I tried. Almost died from the bleeding." Maggie looked at her, really looked, saw the sadness behind the pretty face. "Mrs. Blackwood doesn't know," the girl continued. "No one does. They all think I'm a good girl from a good family who fell on hard times. But I'm not. I'm just someone who made a mistake and survived it." "Why are you telling me this? Because you're not the only one who's wrong. We're all wrong in our own ways. You're just the only one brave enough to stop pretending." The girl turned to leave, stopped. "The man who came today. He looked at you like you matter. That's worth more than anything Mrs. Blackwood thinks." She left. Maggie sat with those words. Let them sink in. He looked at you like you matter. When was the last time anyone had looked at her like that? Her father, maybe. Before he died. Before she married a man who looked at her like she was property. Like something to be used and discarded. She picked up her bag, took one last look at the broken mirror on the floor. "Goodbye," she said to the pieces. She walked downstairs. The girls had gathered in the parlor. They went quiet when she appeared. Mrs. Blackwood stood by the door. "About time. I'm paid through the end of the month. Consider it payment for the damage to your room." "I didn't damage anything." "The mirror's broken. You'll pay for it." Maggie's hands tightened on her bag. She wanted to argue, wanted to fight, wanted to make Mrs. Blackwood admit she was wrong. But what was the point? These people had decided who she was before she even walked through the door. She left without another word. The night air was cold. She stood on the porch, looked at the dark street. Where was she supposed to go now? She started walking, toward the forge. Maybe she could sleep there, in the back room where her father used to keep tools. But when she got there, she found the door padlocked, a notice nailed to it. By order of the town council, forge closed pending review of ownership. Her husband had owned the forge. When he died, it should have passed to her. But apparently the town had other ideas. She wanted to scream, wanted to break the lock and burn the whole place down. Instead, she sat on the step, put her bag beside her, and stared at the dark sky. No stars, just clouds, heavy and low and pressing down like the weight of the world. She thought about Emma, about her tiny fingers, her pink cheeks, the way she'd latched and drank like Maggie was everything she needed. "Worth it," Maggie whispered. She was worth it. A sound behind her. Footsteps. She turned, saw a figure approaching. Male, tall. Her heart hammered. She reached for something, anything. Found a piece of metal pipe near the step. The figure came closer, into the lamplight from the street. William. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I went back to the boarding house, to bring you money. For tomorrow. The girl said Mrs. Blackwood threw you out." "She did." "Why didn't you come find me?" "Because you've got enough problems. You don't need mine, too." William looked at the padlocked door, at Maggie sitting on the step with her bag, at the notice on the door. "Come on," he said. "Where?" "My ranch. Tonight." "William, I can't." "Yes, you can. You're already packed. You've got nowhere else to go. And Emma will need to nurse again in a few hours anyway." He held out his hand. "Please, let me help you like you helped me." Maggie looked at his hand. Rough, scarred, honest. She took it. He pulled her up, took her bag, led her to where his wagon waited around the corner. "How did you know where to find me?" she asked. "I didn't. I was just driving around looking. Figured you'd be somewhere you felt safe." "The forge isn't safe?" "No, but it's yours, or should be." He helped her into the wagon. Emma slept in a basket wedged between the seats. Maggie looked at her. At this baby who'd changed everything in less than a day. William climbed up beside her, took the reins. "Ready?" "I don't know." "Good. Me neither." He clicked his tongue. The horses moved. The wagon rolled forward. They left the town behind. The buildings gave way to open land, to darkness, to possibility. "How far is your ranch?" Maggie asked. 5 miles. We'll be there in an hour." "What if people see me arrive at night alone with you?" "Let them see. I'm done caring what people think." Maggie wished she could say the same. But caring what people thought had been beaten into her since birth. Good girls care, proper girls care, girls who want to survive care. "Tell me about your ranch," she said instead. William's face changed, softened. It's not much. 200 acres. Good grazing land. I've got 20 horses. Used to have 30, but I had to sell some to pay for Sarah's burial. You raise horses. Train them mostly, break them, teach them to work. People bring me wild ones and I make them useful. Like iron. He looked at her. What? You take something wild and rough and make it useful. That's what I do with iron. Heat it, shape it, make it into something it wasn't before. I never thought of it that way. Most people don't. They just see the end result. They don't see the work it takes to get there. They rode in silence for a while. The wagon creaked. The horses breathed steady. Emma slept. Why did you marry your husband? William asked suddenly. Maggie tensed. Why does anyone marry? My father died. I needed someone to take care of me. He needed someone to keep house. It made sense. But did you love him? I thought I did. At first. He was kind, for the first month. Then he started drinking. Then he started hitting. Then he started blaming me for everything wrong in his life. Her voice stayed flat, emotionless. By the time I realized what I'd married into, it was too late. You don't leave. Not in this world. Not if you're a woman. You stay and you survive, and you hope he dies before he kills you. Did he hit you while you were pregnant? Yes. William's hands tightened on the reins. Maybe that's why. Don't say it. I've thought it 1,000 times. Maybe if he hadn't hit me. Maybe if I'd been stronger. Maybe if I'd eaten better. Maybe. It doesn't change anything. I'm sorry. Everyone's sorry. No one does anything. They fell quiet again. Maggie watched the dark land roll past, wondered what she was doing, going to a strange man's house, leaving behind everything she knew. But what did she really know? Pain, loneliness, judgment. Maybe strange was better than familiar if familiar meant dying slowly every day. We're here, William said. The ranch appeared out of the darkness, bigger than Maggie expected, a solid house, a large barn, fences stretching into shadows. But even in the dark, she could see the neglect. Broken boards, sagging posts, laundry piled on the porch. William pulled the wagon to a stop. I know it's a mess. I haven't had time to... It's fine. It's not fine, but it will be, with your help. He climbed down, offered his hand. Maggie took it. Let him help her down. Inside, he lit a lamp. The house was worse than the outside. Dishes everywhere, dust on every surface, baby clothes scattered across the furniture. Your room is here, William said. He led her to a small room off the kitchen. It had a bed, a dresser, a window, a door with a lock on the inside. I'll respect your privacy, he said. You lock this door every night. I won't come in unless you invite me. Thank you. He set her bag on the bed. I'll make coffee. You must be exhausted. I can help. No, tonight you rest. Tomorrow we work. Deal. Deal. He left. Maggie sat on the bed. It was soft, softer than anything she'd slept on in years. Clean sheets, a pillow that smelled like lavender. She lay back, closed her eyes, listened to William moving around in the kitchen. Water running, cups clinking. Normal sounds, domestic sounds. For the first time in 7 months, maybe longer, she felt something like peace. Emma started crying in the other room. Maggie got up without thinking, found William in the kitchen holding Emma, looking lost. She needs to eat, he said. Give her here. She took Emma, sat in a chair by the kitchen table, unbuttoned her dress. Emma latched immediately. William made coffee, set a cup beside Maggie without asking how she took it. Just black. Simple. He sat across from her, watched Emma nurse, his eyes soft. Thank you, he said again. You don't have to keep thanking me. Yes, I do, because you saved both our lives today. You just don't know it yet. Maggie didn't know what to say to that, so she said nothing. Just let Emma drink. Let the coffee warm her hands. Let herself exist in this moment. This strange, impossible, fragile moment. Tomorrow would bring judgment, gossip, consequences. But tonight, they were safe. Tonight, they were enough. Maggie woke to sunlight streaming through the window and the smell of something burning. She sat up fast, disoriented. This wasn't her room at the boarding house. The bed was too soft, the walls too clean. Then she remembered. William's ranch. Emma. Everything. She dressed quickly and followed the smoke to the kitchen. William stood at the stove holding a pan of what might have once been eggs. Now they were black. Smoking. He stared at them like they'd personally betrayed him. "I can cook," Maggie said from the doorway. He jumped, nearly dropped the pan. "I didn't want to wake you." "You didn't. The smoke did." He looked at the ruined eggs. "I used to be able to do this. Before Sarah died. Now I can't seem to remember how anything works." Maggie took the pan from him. Set it aside. "Go check on Emma. I'll make breakfast." "You don't have to." "I know. But I'm hungry, and you clearly can't be trusted with eggs." A small smile crossed his face. The first real one she'd seen. "Fair enough." He left. Maggie surveyed the kitchen. It was worse in daylight. Dishes stacked in the basin. Flour spilled across the counter. A pot with something moldy growing inside it. She rolled up her sleeves and got to work. By the time William came back with Emma, she'd cleaned the kitchen, made fresh eggs, fried bacon, and baked biscuits, using what she could find in the pantry. William stopped in the doorway, stared. "What?" Maggie asked. "Nothing. I just forgot what it felt like, having someone take care of things." "I'm not taking care of you. I'm feeding myself, and there's extra." But they both knew that wasn't quite true. They ate in silence. Emma lay in her basket on the table between them, content, pink, alive. "What needs doing today?" Maggie asked. "Everything. The horses need feeding. Stalls need mucking. North fence has a section down. The chickens are running loose because something broke the coop. The garden's completely overgrown. Stop. One thing at a time. What's most urgent? Horses. They're how I make money. Then we start there." She stood, started clearing dishes. "Maggie?" She turned. "Why are you doing this? Really, it's not just about Emma. You could have said no last night. Could have found somewhere else to go." She looked at him, at his tired eyes, his desperate hope. "Because I'm tired of being useless," she said. "My whole life people have told me I'm wrong, too big, too unfeminine, too everything. But yesterday, for the first time, someone needed me for what I could actually do, not what I should be, what I am." She picked up Emma. The baby stirred but didn't wake. "So yes, it's about Emma, but it's also about me, about proving I'm worth something more than mockery." William stood, came around the table, stopped close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes. "You don't have to prove anything to me." "Maybe not, but I have to prove it to myself." She handed Emma to him. "Now show me these horses." The barn was massive, 20 stalls, most of them filled. The horses were beautiful, bays and chestnuts, and one pure white mare that watched Maggie with intelligent eyes. "That's Frost," William said. "She was Sarah's. Won't let anyone else ride her." Maggie approached slowly, held out her hand. Frost sniffed it, didn't pull away. "She likes you," William said, surprised. "Horses know when you're honest with them. They don't care what you look like, just how you act." She ran her hand down Frost's nose. The mare leaned into the touch. "Show me what to do," Maggie said. William taught her how to measure the grain, how to fork the hay, how to check hooves and fill water troughs. She learned fast. Her body remembered the rhythms of physical work, of being useful. They worked side by side. William talked while they worked, told her about each horse, their temperaments, their quirks, the ones that bit and the ones that nuzzled, and the one gelding that would steal your hat if you weren't careful. You really love them, Maggie said. They're honest. They don't lie, don't pretend. If they don't like you, they let you know. If they do, same thing. There's something clean about that. Unlike people. Unlike people. By noon, they'd finished the barn. Maggie's arms ached. Her back hurt. She was covered in dust and hay and horse smell. She'd never felt better. I need to nurse Emma, she said. They went back to the house. Emma was awake and fussing. Maggie fed her while William made sandwiches. Actual edible sandwiches this time. You're learning, Maggie said. I'm trying. After Emma finished, Maggie looked at the pile of laundry on the porch, at the overgrown garden, at everything falling apart. The chicken coop, she said. Where is it? Behind the barn. But Maggie, you've done enough for today. Show me. The coop was a disaster. The door hung off its hinges. Several boards had rotted through. Chickens wandered everywhere, stressed and barely laying. Maggie walked around it, studied it like she studied metal before shaping it. I can fix this, she said. You don't have to. I know, but I want to. Where are your tools? William showed her. Hammer, nails, saw, wood planks stacked in the barn. I need to check the north fence, he said. Will you be okay here? I've been fixing things since I was 6. I'll manage. He hesitated, then nodded. Emma's sleeping inside. If she wakes, I'll get her. He rode off on one of the horses. Maggie stood alone in the yard, looked at the broken coop, at the tools in her hands. She got to work. The wood was stubborn. The nails fought her. But she was stubborn too. She'd spent her life bending things to her will. A chicken coop was nothing compared to hot iron. She lost herself in the work, in the rhythm of hammer on nail, in seeing something broken become whole again. She didn't hear the riders approach until they were almost on top of her. 3 men, ranch hands by the look of them. They dismounted and walked toward her. Slow, deliberate. Maggie straightened, kept the hammer in her hand. Well now, one of them said. Looks like Thornton found himself some help. I'm working. You should leave. That's not very friendly. The man smiled. It wasn't kind. We used to work for Thornton, until he fired us for no good reason. I'm sure he had a reason. He fired us because of some woman, said we were disrespectful, but we were just being honest. The other 2 spread out, circling. Maggie's heart hammered, but she didn't run, didn't back down. Leave, now, or what you'll hit us with your little hammer. If I have to. The first man laughed, stepped closer. You're a big girl. Bet you think you're tough. Bet you think... Maggie swung the hammer. Fast, hard, caught him in the shoulder. He screamed, stumbled back. The other 2 froze. Next one goes for the skull, Maggie said. Her voice didn't shake. Your choice. You crazy bitch! A gunshot cracked the air. Everyone froze. William sat on his horse 50 feet away, rifle raised, pointed at the men. She told you to leave, he said. His voice was flat, dead calm, terrifying. We weren't doing nothing. You were on my property, threatening my worker. That's trespassing and assault. He rode closer. You remember what happened to the last man who threatened someone I care about. The men went pale. I broke his nose, William continued. And I've regretted ever since that I didn't break more. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to get on your horses. You're going to ride away. And if I ever see any of you on my land again, I won't shoot to warn. I'll shoot to kill. He levered around into the chamber. The sound echoed like thunder. The men scrambled onto their horses, rode off fast. William watched until they disappeared. Then he dismounted, walked to Maggie. Are you hurt? No. Did they touch you? They didn't get the chance. He looked at the hammer still in her hand, at the way she held it, ready. You hit him. He got too close. Something crossed William's face. Respect maybe, or surprise. My father taught me to defend myself, Maggie said. Said the world doesn't care if you're a woman when it comes for you. Said you either learn to hit back or you die. Your father sounds like he was a smart man. He was, until my husband convinced me smart meant weak. She set the hammer down. Her hands shook now that the danger had passed. William reached out, took her hands in his, held them until they steadied. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For not running, for staying, for being exactly who you are." Their eyes met, held. Something passed between them, something unspoken but real. Emma's cry broke the moment. "She's awake," Maggie said. "I'll get her." He went inside. Maggie stood in the yard, looked at her shaking hands, at the hammer, at the chicken coop half repaired. She picked up the hammer and got back to work. By evening, the coop was finished. The chickens were locked safely inside. Maggie had even found time to weed part of the garden. William made dinner. Burned it slightly, but it was edible. They ate on the porch while Emma slept in her basket. "Those men will talk," Maggie said. "Let them. They'll say I'm living here, unmarried, that I know what they'll say. I don't care. You should. Your reputation. My reputation died when my wife did. When the whole town decided I wasn't worth helping. I'm done worrying about what people think." He looked at her. "But if you want to leave, if this is too much, I'll understand. I'll pay you for the work you've done and I'm not leaving." "Why not?" "Because I'm tired of running. I've run my whole life, from my father's death, from my husband's fists, from my baby's grave. I'm done running." She met his eyes. "Besides, someone has to keep you from burning down your own kitchen." He smiled. "Genuine. That's fair." They sat in comfortable silence. The sun set. The air cooled. Somewhere in the distance a coyote howled. "What happened to your leg?" Maggie asked. William went still. "The war." "Which side?" "Union, cavalry. We were outside Richmond when a Confederate sharpshooter got me. Took me 3 months to walk again. Never quite right after." "Does it hurt?" "Every day. But you learn to live with pain, same as anything else." "Yes," Maggie said quietly. "You do." More silence. Deeper now. "Why did you really say yes?" William asked. "Yesterday, at the market. You could have walked away." Maggie thought about it. About the real answer, the one she'd been avoiding. "Because Emma needed me," she said finally. "And I needed to be needed. My daughter lived 2 hours. I held her the whole time, watched her struggle, watched her fade, and there was nothing I could do. Nothing I could give her. Nothing I could be that would make her stay." Her voice cracked. "So when Emma needed me, when my body could actually save someone, I couldn't say no, because maybe that's why I lost my daughter, so I could save yours." William's hand found hers in the darkness. "That's the kindest thing anyone's ever said about Emma. I meant it." "I know." They sat holding hands, two broken people, finding comfort in the smallest touch. Emma woke, cried. Maggie went to her automatically, brought her back to the porch, nursed her while William watched. "You're good with her," he said. "I'm functional with her. There's a difference." "No, you're good. You hold her right. Talk to her. She's calm with you. That's not functional. That's natural." Maggie looked down at Emma, at her tiny, perfect face. "She looks like you." "She has Sarah's eyes, blue like morning sky." "Tell me about her." "Sarah." William leaned back, looked at the stars. "She was small, delicate, everything I'm not. Laughed at my jokes even when they weren't funny. Loved flowers, could grow anything. That garden out there, that was hers. Before." His voice went soft. "She was scared of thunder, used to hide under the blankets during storms. I'd hold her and tell her stories until it passed. She was brave in other ways, though. Stood up to her father when he said she couldn't marry me. Followed me out here when everyone said it would fail." "Did you love her?" "Yes, But not the way people think, not passionate, not consuming, just steady, comfortable, like home. He looked at Maggie. What about your husband? Did you love him? I thought I did, at first. He was charming when he wanted to be. Made promises. Said he'd take care of me. Said I'd never want for anything. She shifted Emma to her other breast. Then we married, and I realized charm is just cruelty wearing a mask. The promises were lies. The only thing I never wanted for was reasons to leave. Why didn't you? Where would I go? A woman alone with no family. No money. I'd have starved or worse. At least with him I had a roof, even if it came with bruises. William's jaw clenched. If he wasn't already dead, I'd kill him myself. That's the second most violent thing anyone's said on my behalf. What's the first? My father, the day before he died. He told me if my husband ever hit me, he'd bury him in the forge fire where no one would find him. I like your father more every time you mention him. He was a good man, just died too soon. Emma finished nursing, fell asleep in Maggie's arms. She looked down at the baby, at her peaceful face. I should put her to bed, Maggie said. I'll show you where. Inside, William had set up a cradle in Maggie's room. Simple, handmade. He must have done it while she was working on the coop. She laid Emma down gently. The baby didn't stir. Thank you, Maggie said. For this. It made sense. She needs you during the night. Easier if she's close. They stood in the doorway. Close. Too close, maybe. I should let you rest, William said. But he didn't move. You should sleep too. You look exhausted. I am. Haven't slept right in weeks. Keep expecting to hear Sarah, or Emma crying, or both. Does it get easier? The grief. I don't know yet. Ask me in a year. Maggie touched his arm, just briefly. Good night, William. Good night, Maggie. He left. She closed the door, locked it like he'd said, then sat on the bed. The house settled around her. Creaking boards, wind against windows, normal sounds, safe sounds. She lay down, pulled the blanket up, closed her eyes. For the first time in 7 months, she fell asleep without crying. She woke 3 times to nurse Emma. Each time she heard William moving around the house, checking doors, stoking the fire, standing guard. The 4th time she woke, dawn was breaking. Emma was still asleep. Maggie got up, dressed, went to the kitchen. William sat at the table, coffee in front of him, staring at nothing. Did you sleep at all? Maggie asked. An hour, maybe. That's not enough. It's more than yesterday. She poured herself coffee, sat across from him. What are you so afraid of? Everything. That Emma will stop breathing, that you'll realize this is insane and leave, that those men will come back with more friends, that I'll fail everyone again like I failed Sarah. You didn't fail Sarah. I did. I lost my temper, made enemies, and she paid the price. The town paid the price. They chose cruelty. That's on them, not you. Is it? Because from where I sit, my actions have consequences, and those consequences killed my wife. Maggie set down her coffee. My husband beat me for 3 years. Every time I told myself it was my fault. I talked back. I burned dinner. I looked at him wrong. I made him angry. But you know what I finally realized? What? It was never about what I did. It was about what he was. He was cruel, that's all. Some people are just cruel, and they'll find excuses to hurt you no matter what you do. She leaned forward. The Reverend was cruel. The town was cruel. Your wife died because of their cruelty, not your anger. Your anger was just their excuse. William stared at her. How do you do that? What? Say exactly what I need to hear. Because I've needed to hear it too, for years, and no one ever said it. Emma started crying. Maggie stood. I'll get her. Maggie. She turned. Thank you. For everything. For staying. For understanding. For being here. You already thanked me. I know, but I'll probably keep doing it. Because I don't know how else to tell you what you mean to me. Her heart did something strange. Something she couldn't name. You're welcome, she said quietly. She went to Emma. Picked her up. The baby was soaked through. Maggie changed her, nursed her, brought her out to William. Hold her while I make breakfast. He took Emma carefully, sat with her, talked to her softly. Maggie cooked, made eggs that didn't burn, made bacon that was crispy, made biscuits that were actually good. They ate together, passed Emma back and forth, moved around each other like they'd been doing this for years instead of days. What needs doing today? Maggie asked. More than we can finish, but the north fence is priority. Horses are getting out. I'll come with you. You don't have to. I know, but 4 hands work faster than 2, and Emma can come. She's portable. William smiled. She is that. They loaded the wagon. Tools, wire, posts, Emma in her basket, rode out to the north pasture. The fence was worse than William had said. 10 posts down, wire tangled, a whole section collapsed. This will take all day, he said. Then we better start. They worked. William dug post holes. Maggie mixed concrete. Together, they set the posts, strung the wire, tightened everything. Emma slept in the wagon. Woke to nurse, slept again. Easy. Content. By afternoon, they'd fixed half the fence. They stopped to eat. Sandwiches Maggie had packed. Water from the canteen. You're stronger than you look, William said. I'm exactly as strong as I look. People just expect women to be weak. Fair point. They worked until sunset. Got 3/4 done. Enough to keep the horses from wandering. On the ride back, Emma fussed. Maggie held her, rocked her, sang quietly. William listened. Didn't say anything, just listened. At the house, they fell into routine. Maggie cooked. William cleaned. They ate, bathed Emma together, put her to bed. Then they sat on the porch, like they'd done it forever. This feels normal, William said. Does it? Like we're a family. Like this is how it's supposed to be. Maggie's chest tightened. We're not a family. I'm your employee. Are you? Because I don't pay employees to fix chicken coops and mend fences and sit with me after dark talking about dead spouses? Then what am I? He looked at her, really looked. I don't know yet, but you're more than an employee. She should leave, should go inside, should put distance between them. But she didn't. William? Yes. I'm scared. Of what? Of this. Whatever this is. I'm scared I'll start to depend on it. On you. On feeling useful. And then it'll be taken away like everything else. He took her hand. I can't promise it won't be taken away. Life's too cruel for promises. But I can promise I won't be the one who takes it. I won't send you away. I won't hurt you. I won't make you small to make myself big. Tears burned her eyes. How do I trust that? You don't. Not yet. But maybe someday. They sat holding hands. The night wrapped around them. Safe. Quiet. Possible. Inside, Emma slept. Outside, the ranch breathed. And between them, something fragile and new tried to take root. Something that felt dangerously close to hope. 2 weeks passed, like water flowing downhill. Natural. Inevitable. Maggie woke before dawn each morning. Fed Emma. Made breakfast. Worked alongside William until her muscles screamed. Fed Emma again. Made dinner. Sat on the porch talking until the stars came out. Went to bed. Did it all again. The ranch transformed under their hands. Fences stood straight. The garden produced vegetables. Chickens laid eggs again. The house stopped looking like a tomb and started looking like a home. But the town was talking. Maggie heard about it from the supply store owner when she went to town for flour. William had sent her with money and the wagon, said she needed to get out, needed to not be trapped on the ranch. She'd almost said no. The ranch felt safe. The world beyond it didn't. But she went. The store owner was polite, cold but polite. He filled her order without comment. But as she was leaving, she heard the women by the fabric section. That's her, the blacksmith widow. Living out at the Thornton place, unmarried, shameful. I heard she's pretending to be the baby's wet nurse, but everyone knows what's really happening. Poor Sarah. Not even cold in her grave, and he's already replaced her with that. Maggie kept walking, loaded the wagon, drove away. Her hands shook on the reins, her throat burned. But she didn't cry. Crying was for people who expected better. She'd stopped expecting better years ago. At the ranch, William was shoeing a horse. He looked up when she pulled in, saw her face. What happened? Nothing. Maggie? Just the usual. Women talking. Let it go. She unloaded the supplies, carried them inside. William followed. Tell me what they said. Why? So you can ride to town and punch someone that worked so well last time. He flinched. She regretted the words immediately. I'm sorry, she said. That was cruel. It was also true. He leaned against the counter. What did they say? That I'm your whore pretending to be Emma's nurse, that Sarah's not even cold yet, that we're shameful. She set down the flour harder than necessary. The usual things people say about women like me. You're not a whore. I know that. You know that. But the truth doesn't matter to people who've already decided what you are. William crossed the kitchen, stopped in front of her. We could get married. Maggie's heart stopped. What? Married? It would solve the problem. Make it proper. Give you protection. That's the worst proposal I've ever heard. And I've heard some bad ones. I'm serious. So am I. You want to marry me to shut people up? That's not a reason to marry. What about because I care about you? Because Emma needs you? Because I can't imagine this place without you anymore? That's still not love. No, but it's honest. And right now, honest feels more valuable than love. Maggie turned away, looked out the window. At the garden she'd weeded, the fence she'd mended, the life she'd built in 2 weeks. I won't marry for convenience again, she said quietly. I did that once. It nearly killed me. I'm not asking you to be convenient. I'm asking you to be protected. There's a difference. Is there? Because from where I stand, you're asking me to give up my name and my freedom so people will stop talking. That sounds pretty convenient to me. William was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, You're right. I'm sorry. Forget I said anything. He left, went back to the horse. Maggie stood in the kitchen alone. Her hands shook. Her chest hurt. He'd asked her to marry him. Not because he loved her, because it was practical. She should be grateful. Marriage meant security, meant legitimacy, meant Emma could keep nursing without scandal. But she wasn't grateful. She was angry. Angry that even kindness came with conditions. Even protection had a price. Emma cried from the bedroom. Maggie went to her, changed her, nursed her, held her close. Your papa's a good man, she whispered to Emma. But good men still don't understand everything. Emma looked up at her with Sarah's blue eyes, trusting, content. I love you, Maggie said. The words surprised her, but they were true. Somewhere in 2 weeks of nursing and rocking and soothing, she'd fallen in love with this baby, with this tiny life she was keeping alive. I love you, she said again, and I don't know what that means or where this goes, but I love you. Emma made a small sound, grabbed Maggie's finger, held tight. That evening they ate dinner in silence. William tried to talk. Maggie answered in single words. The air between them felt heavy. Wrong. After Emma was asleep, Maggie went outside. She needed air, space, something. She walked to the garden, knelt in the dirt, started pulling weeds by moonlight. Her hands needed to work, needed to feel useful. Footsteps behind her. William. "Can we talk?" he asked. "About what?" "About this morning. About what I said." "You already apologized." "I know, but I don't think you heard what I was actually trying to say." Maggie kept pulling weeds. "So say it now." William knelt beside her. "I'm not good with words. Sarah used to tell me I said everything backwards. That I'd explain the ending before the beginning and wonder why people got confused. Then start at the beginning." He took a breath. "The beginning is this. When Sarah died, I wanted to die too. Not because I loved her so much I couldn't live without her, but because I was tired, tired of fighting, tired of being alone, tired of being the man everyone hated." He pulled a weed, set it aside. "Then Emma was born, and I couldn't die, had to stay for her. But staying felt like torture. Every day was just surviving until the next day, nothing good, nothing worth fighting for, just existing because I had to." William. "Let me finish, please." She nodded. "Then you showed up. And suddenly, existing became living. I woke up wanting to wake up. I worked because it felt good to work next to you. I talked because I wanted to hear what you'd say back." He looked at her. "You made me want to be here. Not just for Emma, for myself." Maggie's throat tightened. "That's not love." "No, it's not. I don't know if what I feel is love. I don't know if I'm capable of that anymore. But I know it's real. And I know I meant what I said this morning even if I said it wrong." "What did you mean to say?" "That I want you to stay. Not as an employee, not as Emma's nurse, as my partner, my equal. Someone who shares this life with me because you want to, not because you have nowhere else to go." He touched her hand. "And yes, marriage would make it easier, would stop the gossip, would give you legal protection. But that's not why I'm asking. I'm asking because I can't imagine tomorrow without you in it, and I want to make sure you can't leave, not because I'm trapping you, but because you've chosen to stay." Maggie's eyes burned. "That's still not love." "Then call it something else. Call it partnership. Call it necessity. Call it whatever you want. But say yes." "Why?" "Because you want to stay as much as I want you to stay. Because Emma calls for you in the night and calms when you hold her. Because this place is more yours than mine now. Because we work." He squeezed her hand. "Because I'm tired of pretending we're just two people sharing a house. We're more than that. You know it, I know it. So stop fighting it and say yes." Maggie looked at their hands, his rough and scarred, hers the same, both marked by work and pain and survival. "I'm afraid," she whispered. "So am I. What if it goes wrong? What if you change your mind? What if I'm not enough? What if it goes right? What if I don't change? What if you're more than enough?" She wanted to say yes. Every part of her wanted to say yes, but fear was louder than want. "I need time," she said. "How much time?" "I don't know. More than tonight." William nodded. "Okay, take your time. I'll wait." He stood, started to leave, stopped. "Maggie, yes. I meant what I said. All of it. And I'll keep meaning it whether you say yes or no. That doesn't change." He left. Maggie sat alone in the garden, in the dirt she'd turned, among the vegetables she'd grown, in the life she'd built. She could say yes, could marry him tomorrow, could make it official and proper and safe. Or she could say no, could leave, could go back to the forge if the town would let her, could start over somewhere else. But starting over meant leaving Emma, leaving William, leaving the first place she'd felt necessary in years. She looked up at the stars. "What do I do?" she asked them. asked God, asked her father, asked anyone who might be listening. The stars didn't answer. They never did. Inside, Emma started crying. Maggie went to her, fed her, rocked her, sang softly until she slept. When she came out, William was sitting at the kitchen table, coffee in front of him. He looked up. "Is she okay?" "She's fine, just hungry." "Good." He paused. "Can I ask you something?" "You're asking if you can ask. That's new." "It's serious." Maggie sat across from him. "Ask." "If marriage is off the table, what do you want?" "From this, from us, from whatever this is." She thought about it, really thought. "I want to matter, not because of what I can do for you or Emma, but because of who I am. I want someone to look at me and see Maggie, not the fat widow, not the failed mother, not the woman who should be grateful for scraps, just Maggie. I see Maggie. Do you? Or do you see someone useful? Someone who can cook and clean and nurse your daughter and fix your fences? I see both, because you're both. You're Maggie and you're useful. But the useful part comes from who you are, not what you do." He reached across the table. "I see a woman who hits men with hammers when they threaten her, who fixes chicken coops because she can't stand seeing things broken, who sings to my daughter like she's her own, who sits with me after dark and doesn't pretend everything's fine when it's not. That's who I see. That's who I want to stay. Not the worker. The woman." Maggie's vision blurred. "You make it sound simple." "It is simple. We complicate it by being afraid." "I have good reason to be afraid." "So do I. But I'm more afraid of losing you than of taking the risk." They sat in silence. The clock ticked. The fire crackled. Outside, a horse whinnied. "I'll think about it," Maggie said finally. "The marriage. I'll think about it. That's all I'm asking." She went to bed, lay awake for hours, thinking, weighing, trying to figure out if saying yes was brave or foolish. 3 days passed. They didn't talk about marriage again. Just worked, cared for Emma, existed together. But the question hung between them like smoke, present even when invisible. On the 4th day, riders came. Maggie was in the garden when she heard the horses. 4 of them, men in Sunday clothes, official looking. William came out of the barn, saw them. His face went hard. "William Thornton," one of the men called. "That's me?" "We're from the town council. We need to speak with you." "About what?" "About Miss Sullivan, and the impropriety of her living here unmarried." Maggie stood, brushed dirt from her hands, walked over. The men looked at her. Their eyes traveled down her body, judging, finding her wanting. "I'm Margaret Sullivan," she said, "and I'm standing right here. If you have something to say it to my face." The lead man cleared his throat. "Miss Sullivan, the town council has received multiple complaints about your living situation. As an unmarried woman residing with an unmarried man, you're violating public decency standards." "I'm working. He's paying me fair wages. What's indecent about that?" "The appearance of impropriety is as damaging as actual impropriety. We've come to escort you back to town where you can find proper lodging." "I have proper lodging, right here." "That's not acceptable." William stepped forward. "She's not going anywhere." "Mr. Thornton, you're already on thin ice with this community. Another scandal could result in serious consequences." "Like what? You'll let my daughter die." "Oh, wait. You already tried that." The man's jaw clenched. "That's not fair." "Fair?" William's voice rose. "You want to talk about fair? Where was fair when my wife needed help? Where was fair when I begged for a midwife? Where was fair when Emma was dying, and everyone turned their backs? That's not... You don't get to lecture me about decency, you. The people who let a woman die because you didn't like her husband. You have no moral authority here." Another man spoke up. "Mr. Thornton, we understand you're upset, but the law is clear. Unmarried cohabitation is prohibited. If Miss Sullivan won't leave voluntarily, we'll have to remove her by force." "Like hell you will." William turned, went into the house, came back with his rifle. "Get off my property." The men's eyes went wide. Hands reached for their own weapons. Maggie stepped between them. "Stop. Everyone stop." She looked at William. "Put the gun down." "Maggie, put it down. This isn't how we solve this." He hesitated, then lowered the rifle. She turned to the councilmen. "You want me to leave? It's for your own good. Answer the question. You want me gone?" "Yes." "Fine. Give me an alternative. Where should I go? The boarding house that threw me out, the forge the town padlocked. Where exactly do you expect me to live?" The men looked at each other. No answer. "That's what I thought," Maggie said. "You want me gone, but you don't care if I starve. You want me proper, but you won't give me the means to be proper. You want me to follow rules you make impossible to follow." She crossed her arms. "So here's what's going to happen. I'm staying. If you have a problem with that, arrest me. Charge me. Throw me in jail. But I'm not leaving voluntarily. And if you try to force me, you'll have to explain to the whole territory why you let a baby die to preserve decency." The lead man's face reddened. "You're putting Mr. Thornton in an impossible position." "No, you are. I'm giving him help he desperately needs. You're taking it away because it makes you uncomfortable." "This isn't over." "Yes, it is. Unless you're arresting me right now, get off this property." The men looked at each other, at William's rifle, at Maggie's set jaw. They mounted their horses, but the lead man paused. "There's one way to make this proper. Marry. Legally. Then we have no grounds to interfere. And if we don't, then we'll be back, with a judge's order, and you won't have a choice." They rode away. William turned to Maggie. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did." "They'll come back. With legal authority next time." "I know. So what do we do?" Maggie looked at him. At this man, who'd asked her to marry him 3 days ago, who'd said he wanted her to stay, who'd aimed a rifle at men to protect her. "We get married," she said. William went still. "What? You heard me. We get married. Tomorrow if possible. Today, if we can find someone to do it." "Maggie, you said you needed time." "I did. And then they came here and treated me like property to be moved around, like I don't get a say in my own life. And I realized something." She stepped closer. "I've spent my whole life letting other people decide what happens to me. My father decided I should learn blacksmithing. My husband decided I should quit. The town decided I should be ashamed. The council decided I should leave." She took his hand. "But you asked. You gave me a choice. And that's more than anyone else has ever given me. So yes, I'll marry you. Not because they're forcing us, because I'm choosing to." "Are you sure?" "No, but I'm tired of waiting to be sure. Sure is for people who have options. I don't have options. I have this. You. Emma. This ranch. This life. And I'm choosing it." William pulled her close, hugged her tight. "Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You're stuck with me now." "I can live with that." They stood in the yard holding each other. Maggie felt his heart beating against her ear. Strong, steady, real. Emma cried from inside. They broke apart. Both smiled. "She has timing," Maggie said. "She learned it from you." They went inside together, fed Emma, put her down for a nap, sat at the kitchen table making plans. "We need a license," William said, "and someone to perform the ceremony. Who the Reverend hates you?" "Not the Reverend, the county judge. He owes me a favor." "What kind of favor?" "I trained his daughter's horse, didn't charge him. Said he could pay me back someday." "And you think he'll marry us?" "Only one way to find out." They rode to town that afternoon. Left Emma with William's neighbor, an older widow who didn't care about scandal. She'd lost her husband to the war and her son to fever. Said life was too short to judge people for surviving. The judge's office was above the general store. They climbed the stairs. William knocked. "Come in." Judge Morrison sat behind a desk covered in papers. He looked up, saw William, smiled. "William Thornton, haven't seen you in months. How's that daughter of yours?" "Alive, thanks to Miss Sullivan here." The judge looked at Maggie. His expression changed. Not hostile, just cautious. "Miss Sullivan, I've heard about you." "I'm sure you have." "Mostly good things, actually. Old Martha speaks highly of your work, says you're honest." "I try to be." "So what brings you here?" William took Maggie's hand. "We want to get married, as soon as possible." The judge leaned back. "Does this have anything to do with the council visiting your ranch this morning? You already heard, word travels fast, especially when it involves rifles and threats. I didn't threaten anyone." "No, but you scared them, which is almost as good." The judge smiled. "I don't like the council much, too concerned with appearance, not enough with substance. So yes, I'll marry you." "When?" "Today, if possible." "That fast?" "The council said they'd be back with a judge's order. I'd rather be married before that happens." Judge Morrison stood. "Fair enough. I can do it now if you want. Need 2 witnesses, though." "We don't have—" "I'll find them. Wait here." He left. Came back 5 minutes later with 2 men, his clerk and the shopkeeper from downstairs. "These work?" the judge asked. "They're fine." They stood in the judge's office, Maggie in her work dress, William in dusty clothes. No flowers, no music, no guests. But it felt right. Honest. Judge Morrison opened a book. "This won't be fancy, but it'll be legal. That's what matters." He read the words. The old familiar words about love and honor and sickness and health. When he asked if William took Maggie as his wife, William said, "I do." Firm, clear, no hesitation. When he asked if Maggie took William as her husband, she looked at this man, this scarred, broken, honest man, and said, "I do." "Then by the authority vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss if you'd like." William looked at Maggie. "May I?" She nodded. He kissed her. Gentle, brief, but real. When they pulled apart, she was crying. "Are you okay?" William asked. "I'm married again. I swore I'd never do this again. We can still leave, run away, start over somewhere else." She laughed through tears. "No, we're doing this. I'm just scared." "Me too." The judge handed them papers. "You're legally married now. Congratulations." They signed. The witnesses signed. It was done. Walking back down the stairs, Maggie felt strange. Lighter maybe, or heavier. She couldn't tell. "We're married," she said. "We are." "What now?" "Now we go home. Tell Emma. Live our lives." That simple. That simple. They picked up Emma from the neighbor, drove back to the ranch in silence. As they pulled up, William said, "You can still have your own room, if you want. Nothing has to change." "Everything's changed." "You know what I mean." She did. He was giving her space, giving her control, giving her choice. "Let's just see what happens," she said. That night, after Emma was asleep, they sat on the porch like always, but everything felt different, charged. "My wife," William said, testing the words. "My husband," Maggie said back. The words felt foreign, heavy. "Regrets yet? Ask me tomorrow." "I will." They sat in silence. Then Maggie said, "I need to tell you something." "What?" "I can't have children. The midwife was clear. My body's not built right. Emma's the only baby I'll ever nurse." "I know." "You know, I figured, when you talked about your daughter, about how she died, I figured it meant no more. And you married me anyway. I didn't marry you for children. I married you for you. She looked at him. What if I can't be a good wife? What if I'm too hard, too masculine, too everything people say I am? Then you'll be exactly who you are, and I'll love you for it. The word hung between them. Love. You said you didn't know if you could love, Maggie whispered. I said I didn't know, but I'm starting to figure it out. He touched her face. This is love, isn't it? Wanting someone safe, wanting them happy, wanting them to stay not because you need them, but because the world's better with them in it. Maggie's throat closed. I don't know, maybe. Then maybe is enough for now. He stood, held out his hand. Come to bed, not for anything, just to sleep, together, like married people do. She took his hand, let him lead her inside, to his room, where she'd never been. It was simple. A bed, a dresser, nothing fancy. They lay down together, fully clothed, on top of the blankets. William took her hand. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for asking. They fell asleep like that, holding hands. Two broken people, legally bound now, for better or worse. And somehow, in the darkness, it felt like maybe this time better was actually possible. Morning came with Emma's cry. Maggie woke, still dressed, still on top of the blankets, still holding William's hand. He was already awake, watching her. How long have you been staring? She asked. Not long. You look different when you sleep. Different how? Peaceful, like you're not carrying the world on your shoulders. Emma's cry grew louder. Maggie started to get up, but William stopped her. I'll get her. You rest. I'm already awake. Then rest anyway. You've earned it. He brought Emma back, handed her to Maggie, sat on the edge of the bed while she nursed. We're married, Maggie said. The words still felt strange. We are. What happens now? Now we tell the council to go to hell. Now we live our lives. Now we stop hiding. I wasn't hiding. Yes, you were. We both were. Pretending this was temporary. That you'd leave eventually. That we were just two people sharing space. He touched Emma's head gently. But you're my wife now. Emma's not just the baby you're nursing. She's your daughter too, if you want her to be. Maggie's eyes burned. Don't say things you don't mean. I mean it. Every word. You've been more of a mother to her than most blood mothers could be. You've kept her alive, loved her. That makes you hers as much as I am. The law doesn't see it that way. Then the law's wrong. Emma finished nursing. Maggie held her up, looked at her tiny perfect face, those blue eyes, that rosebud mouth. I do love her, Maggie whispered. I didn't mean to, but I do. I know. What if something happens? What if she gets sick again? What if I can't save her next time? Then we'll face it together. That's what married people do. Maggie looked at him. You really mean all of this, don't you? Every word. Why do you want me? Really? I'm not pretty. I'm not soft. I'm not any of the things men usually want. William took Emma, set her in her cradle, came back and sat facing Maggie. You want to know why? Because you're real. Because you don't pretend. Because when you're angry, you show it. When you're scared, you admit it. When you love, you mean it. He took her hands. Sarah was a good woman. A kind woman. But she was delicate, fragile. I spent our whole marriage trying not to break her, watching my words, controlling my temper, being careful. And with me? With you, I can just be. You've seen me at my worst, angry and broken and desperate. And you didn't run. You didn't flinch. You just stood there and told me to get my head straight. He smiled. You're strong enough to match me. That's why I want you. Maggie's throat closed. No one had ever said anything like that to her before. No one had ever wanted her strength instead of tolerating it. I don't know how to be someone's wife, she said. Not a real wife. My first marriage was just survival. This feels different. It is different. Because we're choosing it. Not because we have to. Because we want to. Do you want to? Really? He leaned forward. Kissed her. Longer this time. Deeper. When he pulled back, he said, "Does that answer your question?" She nodded. Couldn't speak. "Come on," he said. "Let's make breakfast." As husband and wife. They fell into their routine, but it felt different now. Every touch meant something. Every look carried weight. After breakfast, William went to work on the barn roof. Maggie took Emma outside. Let her lie on a blanket in the shade while she weeded the garden. She was on her knees in the dirt when she heard horses. Multiple horses. She stood, saw 5 riders coming up the road, the town council, and behind them, Sheriff Patterson. William climbed down from the barn, rifle in hand but not raised. The riders stopped in the yard. The council leader dismounted, held up a paper. "William Thornton, Margaret Sullivan, by order of Judge Morrison married us yesterday." William interrupted. "We're legally wed. You have no grounds to interfere." The council leader's face went red. "What? We're married, legal and proper. Now get off my property." The sheriff dismounted. "Mind if I see the marriage license?" "I mind, but I'll show you anyway." William went inside, came back with the papers, handed them to the sheriff. Sheriff Patterson read them, looked up. "These are legitimate." "Of course they are." The council leader snatched the papers, read them. His hands shook with rage. "This is highly irregular. You married without proper notice, without witnesses. Judge Morrison's clerk and the shopkeeper witnessed. It's all legal. Check the signatures." Another council member spoke up. "Even if the marriage is legal, the situation is still questionable. This woman moved in before you were married. The timeline suggests..." "Suggests what?" Maggie stepped forward. "That we're human beings who did what we had to do to survive. That's not a crime. The appearance is that you're desperate to find fault with us because you can't stand that we found a way around your control." She crossed her arms. "We're married. We're legal. You have no power here anymore." Mrs. Porter appeared from behind the group. Must have been following. Her face was twisted with anger. "This is shameful. Marrying him to legitimize your sin. Everyone knows what you were doing before that ceremony." "What we were doing was keeping a baby alive," Maggie said. "What were you doing?" "Oh, right. Judging people while pretending to be righteous." "How dare you? How dare you? How dare all of you? You let William's wife die. You refused to help Emma. You threw me out of the boarding house with nowhere to go. And now you're angry because we survived your cruelty." She stepped closer to Mrs. Porter. "You want to know what's shameful? It's not what William and I did. It's what you people failed to do. You failed to show mercy, failed to show compassion, failed to be the Christians you claim to be." Mrs. Porter's face went white, then red. "You have no right. I have every right. I'm his wife now. This is my home, my family. And you're trespassing." William moved to stand beside Maggie. "My wife asked you to leave. I suggest you listen." The council members looked at each other, at the sheriff, at the marriage license they couldn't dispute. "This isn't over," the leader said. "Yes, it is," William replied. "You lost. Accept it and move on." They mounted their horses, rode away slowly, like they were hoping for one more chance to find fault. When they were gone, Maggie's legs went weak. She sat down hard on the porch steps. William sat beside her. "You called them out." "Someone had to." "You called this your home." "It is, isn't it?" "Yes, it is." Emma started crying. William got her, brought her out, handed her to Maggie. "Look at that," he said. "A family." Maggie looked at Emma, at William, at the ranch spreading out before them. "A family," she repeated. testing the words. They fit. 3 weeks passed. The town slowly accepted the marriage. Had no choice, really. It was legal, proper, exactly what they'd demanded. Some people still whispered, still judged. But Maggie found she cared less and less. She had work to do, a baby to raise, a husband who actually treated her like an equal. One afternoon she was shoeing a horse when a wagon pulled up. A young woman climbed down, pregnant. Maybe 6 months along. She looked terrified. "Can I help you?" Maggie asked. "Are you Mrs. Thornton?" "I am. I heard you nurse babies, that you saved Mr. Thornton's daughter." "I did." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "I'm scared. My baby's due in 3 months and I don't know what to do. My husband died last month, accident at the mill. I've got no family, no one to help me." Maggie set down her tools. "What's your name?" "Clara. Clara Mitchell." "Clara, why did you come here?" "Because everyone said you'd understand. That you lost a baby too. That you know what it's like to be alone and scared." Maggie looked at this girl, barely 20, widowed and pregnant and desperate. "Come inside," she said. William was in the kitchen with Emma. He looked up when they entered. "William, this is Clara. Clara, my husband William." "Ma'am?" Clara nodded. "Clara's husband died. She's pregnant and alone." William understood immediately. "What do you need?" "I don't need anything. I just wanted to know if Mrs. Thornton would help me. When the baby comes. Everyone else said no, said I couldn't pay enough." "How much can you pay?" Maggie asked. 50 cents. That's all I have left." "Keep your 50 cents. I'll help you for free." Clara's face crumpled. "Why, you don't even know me." "Because someone should have helped me when I needed it. No one did. So I'll help you instead." She looked at William. He nodded. "Stay for dinner," Maggie said. "We'll talk about what you need. Make a plan." Clara stayed, ate, talked. By the time she left, she was smiling. Had hope again. After she left, William hugged Maggie from behind while she washed dishes. "You're going to help her," he said. "Of course I am. Even though she can't pay. Especially because she can't pay. She needs it most." He kissed her neck. "Have I told you lately that I love you?" Maggie froze, turned around. "What?" "I love you. I'm in love with you. I've been trying to find the right time to say it, but there's never a right time, so I'm just saying it now." "William." "You don't have to say it back. I know you're still scared, still learning to trust this, but I needed you to know. I love you. Not because you're useful, not because you saved Emma, because you're you." Maggie's vision blurred. "I don't know if I can love like normal people love." "Then love like you love. That's enough." She touched his face. "You're a good man." "I'm a man who's been given a second chance. I'm trying not to waste it." Emma made a sound from her cradle. They both looked at her. She was awake, watching them with those blue eyes. "She's listening," Maggie said. "Good. She should hear this. Should know her parents love each other." "Her parents. You really see us that way." "Don't you?" Maggie thought about it. About the past month. About nursing Emma and rocking her and soothing her at night. About the way her heart jumped when Emma smiled. About how she'd die to protect this baby. "Yes," she whispered. "She's mine as much as yours now." "Then we're a family. Officially." That night, after Emma was asleep, Maggie went to William's room. Their room now. She'd moved her things in last week. Slowly. Piece by piece. He was already in bed, reading by lamplight. "Can I tell you something?" she asked. "Always." She sat on the edge of the bed. "I think I'm starting to understand what love is." "Yeah. It's not butterflies or poetry or grand gestures. It's this. Coming home and knowing someone's here, working beside someone who sees you as equal, holding a baby that isn't yours by blood, but is yours by choice." She looked at him. "It's being scared and doing it anyway because the person next to you makes you want to be brave." William set down his book. That sounds like love to me. Then I think I love you too. I'm not sure yet, but I think I do. That's good enough for now. He pulled her down, kissed her properly. She kissed back. Let herself feel it. Let herself want it. When they broke apart, she said, "I'm still scared." "So am I. But we're doing it anyway." "We are." She settled against him, head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For seeing me, for asking, for giving me choice, for making me feel like I matter. You do matter. You always did. You just needed someone to notice." They fell asleep, tangled together. Safe, whole, home. 2 months later, Clara's baby came. A boy, healthy and screaming. Maggie helped deliver him, stayed with Clara for 3 days until she was strong enough to manage alone. When she came home, William and Emma were waiting on the porch. "How is she?" William asked. "Exhausted, happy, terrified, all the normal things. And the baby?" "Perfect. Absolutely perfect." Emma reached for Maggie. She took her, held her close, this baby who'd brought them together, who'd given them purpose. "I love you," Maggie whispered to Emma. "You saved me, you know. You and your stubborn papa." Emma grabbed her finger, squeezed tight. William put his arm around Maggie. They stood together watching the sunset. A family, imperfect, broken in places, but whole where it mattered. "Do you ever regret it?" Maggie asked. "Marrying me?" "Not once." No, not once. Not even when I burned breakfast." She smiled. "Not even then." They went inside together, fed Emma, made dinner, cleaned up, did all the normal things married people do. But it didn't feel normal. It felt miraculous. Because a month ago Maggie had been alone, unwanted, convinced she was too wrong for anyone to love. Now she was wanted, needed, loved, not despite who she was, because of who she was. And that made all the difference. That night, lying in bed beside William, Maggie thought about everything that had led her here. Her father's death, her terrible marriage, her lost baby, the boarding house, the mockery, the judgment. All of it had been necessary, had led her to this moment, to this man, to this life. "I wouldn't change it," she said into the darkness. "Change what?" "Any of it. All the pain and loss and cruelty. Because it brought me here. To you. To Emma. To this." William found her hand. Squeezed. "Me neither. Even losing Sarah. I'll always grieve Sarah. But I'm grateful I found you after. That something good came from something terrible. That's life, isn't it? Good and terrible mixed together." "Yes. But the good matters more when you've known the terrible." They fell silent, content. Outside, the ranch breathed. Horses shifted in their stalls. Wind rustled through trees. Somewhere an owl called. Inside, Emma slept. William slept. And Maggie lay awake a little longer, letting herself feel grateful, letting herself feel worthy. She was Margaret Thornton now. Wife, mother, blacksmith, equal partner. Not perfect, not delicate, not any of the things the world said women should be, but real, strong, necessary. And that was more than enough. The town had called her cursed, called her too big, too masculine, too wrong. But they were wrong. She wasn't cursed. She was surviving. She wasn't too big. She was exactly the right size to hold a hammer and a baby and a man's heart all at once. She wasn't too masculine. She was just more than they could handle. And she wasn't wrong. She was different. And different was exactly what William and Emma needed. What she needed too. Morning would come with its challenges, more gossip, more judgment, more people who couldn't understand why a woman like her got to be happy. But she'd face it, with William beside her, with Emma in her arms, with work in her hands. She'd face it all, because she wasn't alone anymore. She was home, and home was worth fighting for. Maggie closed her eyes. Let sleep come. Let peace settle. Tomorrow would bring what it brought. But tonight, she had everything. A husband who loved her strength, a daughter who needed her, a ranch that thrived under her care, and herself. Finally, herself, unashamed, unapologetic, unwavering. The world had told her she was nothing, but she'd proven them wrong. She was everything. And that was the most beautiful truth of all.